You're listening to Haunted Tales with Skoto the Reaper. Crying Skies by Hymnofshadows. Chapter 2. Bad Moon Rising. Three days had passed and Sal hadn't returned. The power also never came back on. Luckily, there was a surplus of flashlights, battery-operated lanterns, and candles in the cabin. They didn't provide a ton of light at night, but just enough to be able to see what you were doing. Every day we would start up one of our cars to listen to the radio, but it always remained just static. With every passing day we began to truly worry about our predicament, and we began to run out of food. We had only brought enough fresh food up for the trip, but luckily Jerry and Rob kept some extra canned food in their pantry, and we had some fish we had caught. We still had a liquor cabinet left, one that Rob and I eagerly wanted to break into to pass the time. Jerry would shut us down and scold us when we wanted to. This hadn't lasted us long, and sooner or later we were going to have to go look for more food. Olivia had taken Sal's disappearance the worst and shut the rest of us out. Every time we tried to talk to her, she would shut us down. We wanted to take the boat out and tried to talk to someone else, but we also didn't want to leave Olivia alone. Even if we didn't like her, we didn't want something bad to happen to her. During this time, I had also been worrying about Sal, but about my own family, and other friends too. We'd seen a few boats pass by in the water, but they never heard us when we tried to call out to them. I had a darker complexion than Rob and Jerry, who were a little pale. I didn't burn easily, so I spent a lot of time out on the dock. Olivia would come out sometimes to the dock, and I would always go inside then, to avoid the awkwardness. The military aircraft were still flying over frequently too. It was the fourth day for lunch, when I went back to the pantry only to find 2 cans left.
"Hey, Rob?"
I called out.
"What?"
He shouted from the kitchen.
"We gotta go get some food or something. You're almost out of cans,"
I said as I slammed the 2 down on the table.
"I know. I want to go up to that Dollar General and gas station, but my brother won't let us, and I can't get around his truck." "I won't let you do what?"
Jerry stepped into the kitchen from the outside door. He was wearing all camouflage and holding a 12-gauge shotgun.
"Leave this damned cabin."
"We should wait until Olivia is ready."
"Fuck that. Sal's perfectly fine, I'm sure. He always got out of whatever shit he got caught up in anyway. We're almost out of food, and it doesn't look like you brought any turkeys back with you."
Jerry looked down and shook his head. Aside from target practice, board games, and swimming, we had decided to start turkey hunting to pass the time. It was more food, and it was still turkey season anyway.
"Out of our entire lives here, we've only killed 2 turkeys between both of us. If we want to get food from hunting, we're gonna need to hunt for other shit too."
Rob continued talking. "Like deer?" I asked, already knowing the obvious choice. Deer were in abundance around this area, and it was our hunting spot in the wintertime.
"Yeah, and birds."
"Deer in this warm spring weather? Good luck," Jerry said as he set the gun down on the table.
"I saw 2 of them walking down here, and one in the woods the other day."
"It's not even deer season, though." "I doubt any game warden's gonna stop us." I joined the conversation.
"Especially if they're too busy fighting China or whatever,"
Rob laughed. "Fine, but no more target practice. We've already gone through half of the ammo at the cabin. And if some invasion force is really out there, we have to be ready to defend ourselves," Jerry said.
"Like Red Dawn."
Rob's face curled into a huge grin. "What's Red Dawn?" I asked.
"What? How have you never seen that movie?"
He made a twisted face at me. "That sounds like an action movie, and you know me. I only like comedies, really."
"Weren't you obsessed with Game of Thrones?"
Rob asked. "That's a show, different than a movie. And also a lot of hot naked chicks were in it."
"I'm pretty sure we may have Red Dawn in our movie collection here. Once the power comes back on, we're watching it."
Rob looked at the TV. "Once the power comes back on, I'm getting the fuck back home."
"What about the marina?"
"I doubt we're gonna get attacked on the lake, and it's closer anyway." Rob turned his attention toward his brother again. "Another good idea, brother," Jerry replied.
"All right, well, you guys want to go now?"
"We have enough food for one night. Let's just give Olivia one more day. I still don't want to risk leaving her here alone.
Are you in charge?
Rob glared at him, clenching his jaw. You two are just dumb alcoholics. I should be making the call.
You drink just as much as us,
Rob barked. Bullshit.
What are you gonna do if we take the boat? Why don't you just stay here and let us take it?
Rob's gaze narrowed on him. I told you we shouldn't be splitting up like that either unless we're still on the property.
Whatever.
Rob walked out to the porch. I kept my mouth shut and walked away to the bathroom. I agreed with Rob but wanted to stay out of their arguments. The rest of the day crept by fast, as I actually spent most of it napping. I awoke around sundown to the sound of a jet flying over, and came outside to see Jerry and Rob getting dinner ready. Olivia was walking out to the porch with the water bottle in her hands.
So I did some digging around, and look what I found in the pantry. Don't know how you missed this,
Rob said, and pointed to the counter. Laid out on it were a box of graham crackers, a bag of marshmallows, and a couple of chocolate bars.
When was the last time you had s'mores?
He smiled at me. A long time ago. How old is that? I grimaced.
Just a few days. I bought it myself on the way down. I remember it used to be a staple whenever we would come up here as kids.
I could go for some.
After dinner, we'll start a fire in the fire pit outside on the porch. I'll ask Olivia after dinner if she wants to join us too. We could bring up the idea about going to the marina then.
Rob and I both agreed to the idea. The dinner we had was bad-tasting canned weenie dogs and canned baked beans, which were actually kind of good. Because Olivia ate most of our meals with us at the table, it was mostly awkwardly silent. As we began to finish up, Jerry began nervously talking to her. Hey, we had some s'mores and we're planning on making them out on the porch. Would you want to join us? I don't think so. I've been reading a really good book and want to get back to it. She replied quietly and got up from the table.
Hey, what's your problem? We're trying to be nice,
Rob said to her.
What's my problem? You guys are my problem. Do y'all think I'm stupid? I know how you guys feel about me. Not just from Sal, but from every other person back in Athens. I know how many mean things you say about me behind my back. And you just want me to sit out there by the fire with you guys, while the only other person who actually cared about me could be in danger.
She snapped back. A hush fell over the room and she stormed off.
Well, that went great.
Rob looked over to his brother. So Sal was talking about us behind our backs to her? I questioned aloud. She is his girlfriend. We're just his friends, Jerry said.
Bros before hoes, dude.
Rob laughed a little. We cleaned up dinner and started a fire outside on the side porch. And not long after we were making s'mores, the coyotes began to howl off in the woods. Despite how many times I had heard them, they still creeped me out a little bit. I knew they weren't dangerous, but they seemed to be howling more frantically and wildly now. You know, I gotta at least say that moon is pretty, Jerry said as he looked up at it rising over the water. So, if there is some sort of foreign invasion, what do you think our families are doing? I've been thinking about that a lot, I asked aloud.
Shit. Knowing Dad, he probably ran off to join him.
Rob laughed. Y'all's dad probably is one of the few I know who still goes to the gym and is as active as hell.
Yeah, I've been working out for years, and he still beats me in arm wrestling.
Rob laughed again. I just hope mine is okay. All our families knew we were here. You would think at least one of them would have come here, I stated. Yeah, Dad always talked about how it would be a safe place if civilization ever collapsed. If he hasn't booked it here yet, he's probably caught up on something, Jerry said. If it is a foreign nation, how could they pull this off? I thought attacking the mainland US was, impossible.
Not unless they had some secret weapon. Have you guys ever heard of HAARP? I forgot what it stood for, but it's some weird atmosphere station our government has in Alaska. Apparently there are a bunch of conspiracies about it being able to control the weather. If that storm is some sort of powerful weapon and not a real storm, it could have done some serious damage to the rest of the country. Rob spoke in a serious tone, which he usually didn't take. Normally I would tell you to make yourself a tinfoil hat, but with that moon looking like that,
I don't know. I trailed off, looking into the darkness of the woods.
This and Olivia are all we've talked about the past few days. Let's change the topic. There is something else I found while digging around that I wanted to show everyone.
Rob got up and went into the cabin. A couple of minutes later, he came back out, carrying a guitar in one hand and a bottle of gin in the other. Wow, alcohol. What a new discovery. I mocked him. Rob sat down and took a swig of the gin, barely wincing. He then offered some to me. Hell no. You know I don't like drinking straight liquor anymore. I'm getting old over here. My liver can't take it.
Old? You're 21, he howled.
Yeah, and I've been drinking since I was like 15. Enough! Didn't I say we weren't going to take any more of the cabin's liquor cabinet? Jerry butted in.
Hey, if I'm getting a free vacation this week, I'm going to enjoy it like I would any other vacation. That means getting plastered.
He took another sip and set the bottle down. Ugh. Is that Dad's little guitar? Jerry asked.
Damn right.
Rob set down the gin and placed the guitar in his lap. You haven't played since high school. Back when you said you wanted to start a band in college. Where's your band at now? I laughed at him.
Hey man, learning the guitar is way harder than you think, he said as he began strumming it a little bit. I think I still remember a few songs though.
He began strumming it faster until he started playing something I instantly recognized. It was Bob Dylan's Tangled Up in Blue. It's one of the first songs he had learned to play back when he started. We were just freshmen in high school. Hey, maybe you could bring it back up with us in Athens and try to serenade the girls like you did in high school, I said sarcastically.
Come on, give us some vocals,
Jerry called out. Rob shook his head and played for about 30 more seconds before stopping.
I think I remember Smoke on the Water.
Rob's voice trailed off as he was interrupted by a chorus of yapping and howling from the woods. But this didn't sound like coyotes, more like wild dogs, and it sounded closer. Dogs? I looked at the two brothers.
Probably just strays. We see them all the time.
Rob started to play his next song, but stopped about 10 seconds in. The chorus of what sounded like dogs sounded like it was getting closer, and it was becoming louder than the guitar itself. Are they coming towards us? I looked at Rob and Jerry again.
I think so, Jerry stood up quickly.
Why?
I don't know, let's get inside, Jerry said as he dumped his bottle of water over the fire, extinguishing it. He then quickly hurried inside. The s'mores, grab them!
Rob looked at me, his hands full with the gin and the guitar. I grabbed them and we both ran inside. I set the bags of food down and Jerry locked the door. Olivia was already outside of her room and in the living room.
What is that?
She nervously asked. Dogs, at least they sound like it.
Yeah, very angry, rabid, and starving dogs.
Rob walked over to the 12 gauge on the table and picked it up. Normally I would tell him that's too much, but something about the way these animals sounded disturbed me. Are all the doors locked? Jerry looked around. I ran over to the front porch and checked it, making sure it was locked. The yapping now sounded like it was in the driveway.
Shut the blinds too. I don't want these animals seeing us inside,
Jerry said, acknowledging Olivia's obvious fear. I shut them and we waited a few moments before the animals finally reached the house. The yapping turned into vicious growling, and suddenly there was scratching on every door. Rob ran to the front door and grabbed the AR-15 sitting beside it, and I grabbed the .270 caliber rifle that had been sitting on the table next to the shotgun.
What do they want?
Olivia asked. I don't know, but there is no way in hell they can get inside, I replied to her. The growling and yapping turned into a sort of screeching I had never heard from any dog before. I didn't get scared over much anymore, but this frightened me. The noises and scratching continued for about 15 minutes before they faded off as the pack of whatever they were continued off into the woods.
What the hell was that?
Rob spoke as his eyes darted between our faces. A pack of coyotes or like wild dogs, maybe? I've never heard them sound like that or be that angry, I speculated.
Do y'all think it was the s'mores they smelled? Maybe they were just hungry,
Jerry said, looking at us. I don't know, but we should stay up a little bit longer, in case they come back. I was just now beginning to hear the noises fade. We still waited there for what felt like an hour, mostly in silence. The sound of normal coyotes still hadn't come back either.
I think they're gone now,
Olivia finally uttered.
Yeah, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. but I'm gonna be sleeping with this gun in my bed.
Rob followed up, and the two of them walked to their separate bedrooms. Do we need someone to keep watching? I asked Jerry. No, there's no way those animals could get inside. And we would hear them if they came back, he replied. All right, but I'm keeping this rifle in my room also, I said, and walked towards my room. That night, I struggled to fall asleep. I kept expecting to hear that yapping again, and couldn't stop thinking about why they'd attacked our cabin. Finally, around 3, I fell asleep, but while I slept, I was plagued with nightmares of giant, mutated dogs breaking into our cabin and tearing all of us to shreds. Whatever it had been must have affected Rob more, because after only a few hours of sleeping, I woke to him shaking me. "Chris," he whispered into my ear. "What, man?" I said groggily, rubbing my eyes. The clock read 3:21 a.m. He was standing above me and holding the AR-15.
I haven't been able to sleep yet, and I'm glad I couldn't. The scratching is back.
What? I questioned, leaning over and grabbing the hunting rifle.
Yeah, but this time it just sounds like one animal. I say we go check it out.
You crazy? How you get killed? They can't get in. Why should we go out?
Come on, man. It's just one scurrying around the front of the house. We know they sounded like some type of dog, and our 2 guns are more than enough to put a dog or anything related to it down. Don't tell me you think some ghost is out there or something.
I sighed. He had a good point. The animals hadn't sounded like anything large. If they were dogs or coyotes, we'd be getting a chance to see what was wrong with them, possibly. I rolled out of bed and stepped into some flip-flops, and then the two of us made our way to the living room. Should we tell Jerry or Olivia? I asked him. He shook his head no and stepped towards the door.
Can you hear it?
He asked me. I stepped towards it too, prying the door open ever so slightly. I listened for a moment, only picking up the sounds of frogs, crickets, cicadas, and other Georgia sounds, but then I heard it. A faint scratching, coming from the front of the house. Yeah, I hear it, I whispered to Rob.
Let's get it then,
he said and stepped out, AR-15 at the ready. I nervously followed him out. I couldn't tell if he was scared, but I sure as hell was, and the rifle was trembling in my hands. We walked through the side porch, and Rob slowly turned his way around the corner with me behind him. Sitting by the front door in some bushes was an animal, tearing at an empty beer case. Its beady black eyes fell on us, and took off running into the woods.
Damn it, Rob! You woke me up for a damn raccoon!
I frustratingly yelled at him. But deep down I was relieved it wasn't something more. But that relief faded when I turned to look back at the cabin. There were faint scratch marks around the low ends of the walls, and they clustered around the screen door. The bottom of the screen itself had been torn up. Whatever was trying to get in had been trying really hard. It took a while to fall asleep after that incident, but we finally were able to.
Hey, Chris, come check this out.
I awoke to the sound of Rob's voice and him shaking me. I rolled over and checked the clock next to my bed, which read a little past 11. Kinda late. Did I miss breakfast? I mumbled as I got out of bed and put on my clothes. No, we all slept in. Alright, what did you want me to see then? Another raccoon? I said as we both walked out. Just follow me. Rob led me through the hallway in the living room and out the side door, and what I saw deeply disturbed me. There was a dog completely covered in blood, crouched down and whimpering. Rob and Olivia were unraveling the hose. What? Whose dog is that? I immediately asked. We don't know. I found it when I woke up this morning. It was curled up out on the swing on the porch. Is it hurt? No, we don't think it's his blood. Olivia and I checked him closely, and he's surprisingly friendly. Olivia slowly approached it with the hose in one hand and a wet rag on the other. The dog was looking up at her, shaking, with its tail between its legs. Sorry, buddy. We need to clean you up. She spoke to the dog quietly. It flinched when she started scrubbing it down, but didn't run away or act out aggressively. I noticed that it had a collar on it. Hey, check out the name tag, Olivia. I pointed at it. She grabbed it and read it aloud. Bear. That's not its blood, then whose is it? Rob looked at all of us. Hopefully not its owner's, I uttered. Is there a phone number? Jerry asked. No, and it's not like that would help anyway, Olivia replied. She had gotten most of the blood off, but Bear was now shaking even more violently. I couldn't tell what breed it was, but it seemed to at least have some Labrador in it. Y'all think it was from the pack of dogs last night? I suggested. Seems way friendlier than them, Rob smirked. Well, what are we going to do with it then? I think we should take care of it,
until we figure out what's going on.
Olivia looked up at us.
I agree. I mean, we're all dog lovers here, right?
Yeah, I wonder what Charlie and Jack are doing now. Hope they're alright with their dad. Jerry looked off. Charlie and Jack were the names of the 2 Labrador retrievers their dad owned. I had a dog of my own, a young golden retriever named Bud, after Air Buddy. Of course, every time I thought of the name, I thought of Weed, but it was my 2 younger sisters who decided to name him that. Sounds fine with me, if he'll even stay.
Wait a second, this is another mouth we're gonna have to feed, Rob said.
Dude, it's a dog. They barely eat anything.
Oh no. How will it stay quiet, though? That barking will alert us to the Russians when they search the lake.
He laughed at his brother. Whatever. I promised you 2 we could go check out the marina today, so let's leave him in the cabin once he's dried down and head over there, Jerry ordered.
I'd rather stay here and get to know this dog,
Olivia replied with a frown.
Told you so,
Rob spat. Fine, but I'm staying here with you, Olivia. None of us should ever be alone unless you're on the property, like I said. You 2 go get the bass boat ready and head on over. Jerry looked at us.
Finally,
Rob smiled at me. We walked down to the dock and got the boat ready before hurriedly leaving the cabin and heading out on the water. As we were tying off, I heard a slew of gunshots off in the distance.
Looks like the Russians found us.
Rob laughed. Without any real wind, the lake was dead calm. It was a clear and sunny day with not a cloud in sight. I was mostly on the motor, controlling the boat, and Rob sat up front. Only about a minute into the trip, he took his shirt off and put on his sunglasses.
We're gonna be here for a few more days. Might as well get a nice tan out of it.
He looked back at me. I could barely hear him over the motor.
Smart thinking,
I yelled back.
Why don't you take your shirt off and tan also? Oh yeah, it's because you got that beer belly now, he yelled.
Asshole. I laughed a little, but he was right. During high school, the 2 of us played football together and were starting linebackers. We were 2 of the strongest kids on the whole team. But once we got to college and went to partying, I started to let myself go. Rob, on the other hand, had only continued to work out and been lucky enough to fully recover from his injuries. I always told myself I would get back into it, but never got around to it. As we traveled, I saw a group of kayakers fishing. But that was it until we got to the marina. As we approached the marina, I saw a boat leaving and another one parked. It was a fairly nice Aeronautica. Once we reached the no-wake zone, we slowly pulled into the spot next to it and parked. The marina was decently sized, about the size of a standard Dollar General. To the right of it was a strip of concrete, where several boats that were for sale were put on display, and to the left was the only restaurant on the entire lake. It was known as the Anchor, and also doubled as a bar. The entire thing was open air and split between under a large porch and outdoor seating next to a makeshift beach. Next to the beach were 3 long docks that were usually full. But today the entire place was empty, which honestly shocked me. The only boat at the entire place was that one Nautica. And untying it off was a single kid who looked slightly younger than us, with curly brown hair. He was also drinking a beer.
Hey, wait up a second, dude.
Rob quickly hopped off the boat and ran over to the man.
What's up?
He looked up.
Where is everyone today?
Rob asked.
Shit.
Probably back home and hunkered down with their families.
Do you know what's going on?
I do.
A new voice interrupted us. I looked over to see a short and plump Latina old lady walking down from the marina. I recognized her as Mrs. Kimberly, the owner of it.
Mrs. Kimberly, good to see you,
Rob said, sounding shocked.
The world is ending, that's what's happening. The book of Revelation tells of a blood-red moon. The rapture has happened, and we have been left behind as penance for our sins.
I felt uneasy at what she was saying. I was never a religious person and hadn't thought about the biblical apocalypse being the cause.
Look, we were just seeing if we could buy some food or something.
Rob continued talking, ignoring her oddness.
The shop and the restaurant are closed, along with the gas pumps. The trumpets are sounding. Soon the beast will arrive. I suggest you go be with your loved ones, if they're still here.
With that, she turned around and walked back up into the marina. Rob looked back at me with a confused glare.
Don't listen to her, she's probably drunk. She was spouting that same bullshit to me right before you got here.
The kid on the boat laughed. So what's really happening then? I asked him.
I don't really know. My dad has a lake house just down the way by Goat Island. We were already there when the storm hit, and I decided to wait it out for a while. My best guess is maybe an attack by terrorists or a foreign nation. I'm Rick, by the way, Rick Hill.
he said, outstretching his hand towards Rob, who shook it. He had a heavy southern accent, stronger than anyone from our friend group. Rob Murphy. Chris Baker. You know, I haven't seen much of anyone else on the lake. Figured they all must have gone home. Y'all are welcome to come by our lake house tonight for dinner. We have plenty of food and booze, and it seems like y'all need some. You sure? I asked. Yeah, we can eat as many people as we can get in case something really bad did happen. Also, just spending this entire time with my family's been a pain in the ass, and y'all seem cool. We are. Rob smirked. It's a large 2-story gray house to the left of Goat Island. Dinner will be made around 6. Sounds like a plan. Rick began to tie off his boat, and we helped him. He waved to us as we pushed off and left. I say we should still try to go talk to Mrs. Kimberly. Rob turned back towards me after he was gone. You heard what the kid said. She's probably wasted, I replied. Well, then maybe she'll be easier to persuade into giving us food. Rob began to walk up toward the marina. I sighed, jumped out, and followed him. The double glass doors of the front were unlocked, and we walked right in. On the left side of the marina was an assortment of water supplies, from fishing poles to life vests and wakeboards. To the right was a small grocery store. Mrs. Kimberly was sitting at the front desk, reading the Bible. She looked up at us when we walked in. I said we were closed. I was the first to reply. I know, we were just wondering if you had a phone we could borrow. We haven't been able to charge ours with the power being out, and our cables are fried. And we really want to get in touch with our families. No car chargers either, so we can't use the cars. I charged mine up, but have no service. I can't even reach emergency services. But my phone is so old the charger wouldn't fit what you have. The phone for the marina doesn't work either. She looked towards the wired home phone that was sitting on her desk. It looked like something out of the early 2000s to me. I briefly thought back to the days before smartphones were a thing, when I was just a little kid. Our family had a similar phone back then, and when my sisters weren't hogging it, it was how I would always keep in touch with Rob and Jerry. Although I had one too many experiences of getting into trouble when they would call me late at night, when my parents were asleep. I scanned the food aisles to see that most of it was still there. I guess most people wouldn't think to loot a marina in case of an apocalypse. Either that, or Mrs. Kimberly was strapped. Have you actually, seen any of this end-of-the-world stuff? Like the rapture or whatever? Anything besides that moon? I questioned her. Rob shot me a twisted look. I've heard stories from people passing through. People vanish at night. The demons have come up from hell, and they're here. Right. I felt uncomfortable with what she was saying. Look, Mrs. Kimberly, you have a lot of food here, and back at our cabin, we've kind of run out. If we could just have a tiny bit of something, it would be greatly appreciated. It would be the Christian thing to do, Rob pleaded with her. She looked down for a couple of seconds, contemplating what he had said. Fine. Just one grocery bag worth of food, but I need the rest for myself, she finally spoke. Yes, Rob clenched his fist and whispered under his breath. He went up to the counter, grabbed a bag she laid out, and headed off toward the food. So what are your plans? What about your family? I asked Mrs. Kimberly. Jay and Rob had told me her husband died a while ago, but I was pretty sure she had to have kids or grandkids still out there. Oh, my daughter and her family live so far away, in Atlanta. But I know they were devout. They're probably already in heaven. And if they aren't, are you not going to try to go there to look for them? If the world was ending, wouldn't you want to be with your family? I'm afraid I'm too old to make that kind of trip with all the craziness going on out there. If they're still here, I would hope they come to me. Hopefully. I nodded and looked at Rob, who was walking up with a bag now full of beef jerky and chips. It doesn't need to be refrigerated, he said to me. I looked over at the fridges in Mrs. Kimberly's store, which seemed to still be on. How is your power still on? I asked her. Oh, you know, I have a backup generator. This lake has had so many violent storms in the past, so I had one installed. I remember the tornado from 2012 like it was yesterday. I thought back to the massive tornado that had destroyed most of the lake again. I considered asking her to let us use her fridge, but I felt that would be overstepping. It would also eat up all of our gas in our boat if we had to keep making trips here, but another idea popped into my head. Hey, you know, we don't really have any power back at the cabin, and we don't want anything we catch or hunt to spoil. If you wouldn't mind, could we grab some salt too? I wouldn't mind that, dear, she said as she pulled out another grocery bag. I grabbed it from her and headed to the aisles. I quickly found those large Morton salt containers and took about 6 of them, which only left a few for her. I really didn't feel that bad, however, as I felt we needed it more. Once I finished, Rob and I began to leave the store, but Mrs. Kimberly stopped us. "Hey, Jerry, oh shoot, is it Rob?" Rob turned back around towards her. "Rob. How are your brother and your father? Are they all right?" she asked. Rob looked down, and I saw a flash of anger in his eyes. "My brother's fine, and I haven't seen my dad yet." "Oh well, I'll pray for him, and you also." "Appreciate it," Rob mumbled, and walked out of the store. "Stay safe," I said to Mrs. Kimberly before walking out. "Come on, let's go check out the anchor," I suggested. "Any food that was left there has probably gone bad or been taken by raccoons," Rob replied. "I'm not going for that. I'm going for the alcohol." Good idea." We walked over to the bar and looked behind the counter. As I expected, most of it was still there. "Let's not take too much or Mrs. Kimberly will see us," I said. Rob reached down and grabbed about 2/5 of whiskey. I grabbed a handle of rum. "We can always come back," he said as he looked at me. "We aren't thieves, and I don't want to be in trouble when everything gets back to normal," I retorted. Rob shrugged his shoulders and started walking toward the boat. "Hold up," I called after him, causing him to stop. "I just want to check out the kitchen real quick." "Fine." The kitchen was on the other side of the restaurant, across the patio. I walked through the tables on the patio, past the other counter, and into the kitchen. As I expected, I was met with the putrid smell of spoiled food. I scrunched my face and turned around to walk back toward Rob, who was watching me. "Anything?" "No. Get reeks before you even get inside." We headed down to our boat, loaded what we had in it, and began to tie off. After that, we were headed back towards the cabin. "You know, I noticed she wasn't drinking like you thought she was." "She was still talking crazy. I mean, demons, taking people at night or whatever?" "I don't know, that part kind of creeped me out." "You and I both know all that crap is just made up so people who believe it can feel better." "Didn't your brother used to be religious?" "Yeah, when we were younger. We'd go to church a lot. Only one in our family. Dad stopped after what happened with Mom." "What happened with Jerry?" "Guess the college life got to him. How are you going to go to church when you're sleeping all Sunday after a binge?" I laughed a little before continuing to talk. "Yeah, my sisters and parents are into it, but not me. Not my thing. That kid we met was cool. I think we should take him up on his offer." "I agree. Let's talk to your brother Olivia about it too." Rob nodded and we continued back the rest of the way without talking much. Once we got back, we arrived to see Olivia fishing on the porch, with the new dog sitting next to her. "Catch anything?" I asked as we tied off. She shook her head. "Where's my brother?" Rob asked her. "He shot a massive deer. He's cleaning it out back," she replied. I saw Rob's eyes light up as he ran quickly through the dock and up to the cabin. "Buck or a doe?" I asked her. "A buck. 12 point," she replied. "Wow. We hadn't had a buck killed here since we were middle schoolers. Normally we're always just shooting doe. I'd still like to kill something. Sal's taken me a few times, but we haven't seen anything." "Well, maybe when he gets back, y'all can go." "What'd y'all get?" She had my bags and alcohol. "Oh, we know the lady at the marina. She said we could have a little bit of her supplies. Did y'all see anyone else?" "Aside from another kid, no. And neither of them knew what was going on either." She nodded her head and began reeling her rod up. I had decided not to tell her about the whole demons and end of the world thing, as I didn't want her to worry more about Sal than she already was. Looking at her, I thought back to my outburst the other night when I was drunk. "Hey, look, Olivia, I'm sorry about the other night, what I said, and I'm sorry in general for everything, how I treated you. Look, Chris, I really don't want to talk about that, and I don't want to be friends with you either, sorry." I was dumbfounded. I had expected her to forgive me. "Olivia, if we're gonna be surviving here, holding grudges doesn't seem the smartest thing to do. Don't tell me what to do. Look, I'm not trying to be mean, I just don't want to talk about that kind of stuff right now. Please." I dropped my head down and walked back to the cabin. I didn't know what set her off, but she sounded very angry talking to me. I didn't even think what I had said was that bad. Maybe it made her think of Sal, which would reasonably be a sensitive topic.